Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Hope everybody is well prepared for, well, what is hopefully a long weekend for everyone. Obviously, those of us in the U.S. are here for a long weekend, thanks to the holiday on Monday. But, you know, sucks to suck if that doesn't include you, I guess. Scobalts, Kappa, welcome, welcome. And yes, of course I would end up playing this game, Scobalts. You've got a keen eye for what I would likely end up playing. Honestly, it very recently came on my radar. It's not something that I had been sort of tracking long term, but it's sort of well-timed because I have been sort of itching for a good first-person shooter. And to be fair, retro shooters are not my favorite genre of first-person shooters. They're not my go-to, I guess. But beggars cannot be choosers. So if we're not getting many first-person shooters, retro shooters are what we're gonna play. But yeah, I know very little about this game. I know it's Warhammer 40k, which I like. I know it's a first-person shooter, which I like. And I saw sort of an initial few hundred positive reviews, like the day it came out, convincing me, like, yeah, sure, that's good enough to buy. So I picked it up, and we're just gonna at least try it for, you know, the Try-Day Friday. I don't know if we'll make a series of the whole thing, but, you know, at least we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm just gonna play it, honestly. Okay, difficulty options. Honestly, I will say that Warhammer 40k is so obviously well suited to this style, though, that it's almost incredible that it hadn't been done up to now. Also, is this like, I guess I only have the one now. I guess maybe I can choose different classes over time. We'll just go with medium. No need to complicate things, I suppose.
Nothing, once touched by the hand of chaos, remains untainted.
Voices.
You are under the dominion of the Ordo Malleus to assist my investigations into a world that has already felt that fell influence. Graia has been under the close watch of the Inquisition.
I feel like the volume's a little quiet. I'll have to turn it up.
The Forge world remains largely secure, but we have picked up concerning energy readings in the surrounding system. I have my suspicions, although we have not had sufficient time to pinpoint the origin of these foul energies. While most of the planet remains unaffected, it is my belief that rogue elements within the Adeptus Mechanicus may have been experimenting with a surviving fragment of Inquisitor Drogon's power source. Your mission is to assist me in locating a fragment of the power source. While I consider this threat extremely serious, your superiors have seen fit to second only a handful of you to my supervision.
Second? Never heard that word said there.
To the Emperor that this does not develop into a more dire situation. This servo skull will guide you.
I'm gonna name him Fred. Oh, I guess his name's technically Incommodus. I like Fred better.
Where communication has become sporadic. Should you encounter any opposition, you may assume they have been tainted by the ruinous powers. Suffer not the heretic to live.
Okay, they do. I wasn't sure if they still used the Suffer Not the Heretic to live in 40k, or if that was exclusively a Warhammer thing. Although I guess it makes sense that it's 40k.
Beware. We do not know how far the taint of the arch enemy spreads.
Yeah, Scobolts, that's one of my sort of complaints, I guess, with 40K and video games specifically, is most games that are sort of small-scale character-based, I guess you could say, like a first-person shooter rather than an RTS or a tactics game, they so commonly go the route of playing the Space Marines, or at the very least, the human faction, right? And I really would like to see more games lean into bringing more of the other factions sort of to life. And they just sort of don't most of the time. There's a few Fire Warrior ones from like the PS2, maybe the PS1, first-person shooters, and that's cool because the tower my favorite 40K race. So I'd love to see more of those. Whoa boy, hold on, that's pretty sensitive. Mouse look sensitivity. Let's tone that back just a scotch. Yeah, I think that one's Mechanicus, which is a fun game. I have played that one. That one was cool. It was nice to see so much Necron, even if you don't get to play as the Necron. Well, and it's one of those things that's really a shame because it gives them so much sort of less opportunity to tell the very interesting stories involved with these other factions. Because there's recommend use of okay, hold on. We're doing buttons here. V. Why do you say V? That doesn't seem to do anything. I gotta pull up my convenient control guy here. Where is V? That's where V is. That's what I thought. Okay, so that's also a right trigger, it seems like. Okay, right click. Also chainsword, I guess. Space. But I haven't quite as recently, but I watched several videos for a bit from various I guess sort of like lore retellers on YouTube, which I thought was really interesting to hear some of the sort of, you know, long ago significant story beats of like how the Necron became the Necron, for instance, and all that stuff. I'm like, man, those are some really big, wide stories that never get told in video games, and that's just a shame. Because there's some cool stuff in there. Boy, I'd love to see, like, anybody get permission to make a game about sort of the old war. That the old war is when the Necron became Necron, the Eldar and the Orcs were created, all to fight, like, sort of, you know, killer gods, sort of, essentially. It's some interesting stuff. Oh, we need to keep... This is very Doom. Space Marines certainly fit into Doom with very little effort. They just slip right in. Use of rapid what? Oh, is that a charge? I see. I apparently ran into a thing. I have a little dash. I also see that I have grenades on G or Q. Which is it? I see both buttons down there. Maybe G switches which one I have selected and Q throws it. We'll see. I'm sure they'll mention it momentarily. The holy Boltgun. The relic bolter, I suppose. Okay, so right click is still chainsword. Oh, that's... You know, that's awesome that it got released on Switch. I don't see why it shouldn't. I mean... I'll say that's, I suppose, one of the big benefits of retro shooters is they can go on, like, any hardware ever. I mean, that's the meme with Doom, right? The Doom runs on anything. Okay, I still think my mouse sensitivity's high. I'm just wheeling all over the place with the tiniest of movements. Is that reload? That's reload. Well, let's find out. Grenade? Yep, that'll do it. Excellent. I will say it's interesting the way they did some of the sort of retro styling in this game. I noticed it when I was moseying through the settings. See, there's like a retro option here. So like their pixelation is interestingly a like a post-processing effect. So you can see like there are sharper 3D models. Although I bet that will not affect oh well, it looks like it affects the sprites a little bit. It's like you can actually have reasonable sharpness. Honestly, I might sharpen it up just a little bit. Like, or you can be like, yeah, I'm just playing original Doom, baby. Which I think is a clever way to do it. Plus 200 contempt. Joke's on you, I'm already full of contempt. I don't need any more. Exit. Easy enough. I missed a secret. I am so bad at finding secrets in these games. Inevitably. They're always at the end like, oh, how many secrets? And I'm like, I didn't get them. Something, a local weapon battery apparently has been acquired by heretics. You know what? With the whole thing being heretics, I need to, there we go. I'm gonna change my title name. We shall not suffer the heretics to live. There we go. Dealing with heretics currently, not Xenos. We gotta get our hate correct. Understand what we're condemning. What's over here? I guess nothing's over there. What is the contempt for? Is contempt like shield? Which is kind of funny if it is. I shield myself from harm through just sheer contempt. I think it is. Contempt is shield. That's... I don't know why that's so amusing to me. I mean, gameplay-wise, it obviously does exactly the same as shield. It's just the concept that it is contempt instead just sort of tickles me. Arvis lighter descent. I do wish that my little Yahoo skull guy had gotten an actual audio voice, because it's a little bit hard to look up at that corner all the time to see what the hell he's trying to say. But such is life. Oh, a Titan. I will say I love to see that this is this was published by Focus Interactive, because honestly, Focus Interactive continues to impress me as being a really, really strong, like, single or double A tier publishing house. It's like, it's not AAA. It doesn't really try to be AAA. It just gets you some good-ass games that are not trying to be, I mean, more than they are, I guess you could say. But let's be honest, AAA games suck ass now. Like, just like garbage. Absolute terrible games. Every AAA game is like a joke anymore. And it's remarkable how the main publishers don't, I don't know, get more backlash for the fact that they, like, I don't know, they're just making shitty games, and they still get to claim that they're, like, the AAA publishers, right? But, like, a AAA game at this point... Oh, I guess I can just hold that. Is more known for just like shitty microtransaction practices, terrible release performance, those jokes of apologies where they all have to put them out, where they're like, you know, it's a week after release or 2 days after release, and every last one of them has to send that stupid apology letter, you know, where they're like, oh, we're sorry, we know you were expecting more, but now we're really gonna try, since we hadn't been trying thus far, and we're gonna fix it over time, right? Oh, is that our Devolver Digital? That might be who you're thinking of, Scobalts. I know Devolver has always had, had some, like, I don't know, E3 shenanigans taking place. Devolver is really good. Devolver Digital, though, I kind of put in a different class because, like, they're a little smaller. Their stuff is good. Their stuff's good. The main thing that always impresses me about, I guess, Focus Interactive is that I feel like they do a wider breadth of projects than Devolver Digital does. I feel like Devolver has a little bit of a niche, and they make really good games, but it's kind of like, it's relatively narrow. You usually see Devolver Digital games coming. The thing about Focus Interactive games is that, like, every single time it seems like that some random game just, like, shows up on my radar, and it's like, oh, by the way, there's this game that's looks pretty good that's coming out in, like, a week and a half. I go to play the game, And it's like almost 8 times out of 10, it's like, oh, by the way, it was published by Focus Interactive. It's like, they just publish shit tons of games, but they're all pretty damn good. Like, I mean, there are a few that suck in their library, but like, they just keep making more. They just like sneak out of the woodwork. All this stuff that you didn't hear about, you didn't know about. It's just like, oh, yep, there's another Focus game. Oh, effective grenade. So I think that's a big part of why. Oh, I discovered a secret. Oh, Ore of Doom, mega damage. I like mega damage. That's why Focus always has sort of like such a positive impression to me, because it's like it's so often a surprise. Like, I'll pick up a game and it's like, oh, surprise, Focus. Well, because Focus Interactive did the they did this, obviously. They did shoot. Why can't I think of the name of the game? The Plague Tales. The Plague Tales were Focus Interactive. Oh, different grenade that I can't pick up. Hello? Oh, I can switch grenades. That is a thing I can do. Honestly, they might have done freaking Mechanicus that you were mentioning as well. They just managed to like greenlight and put their stamp on just all kinds of different games that are never really like AAA quality, quote unquote quality games, whether that's good or bad anymore. And instead they're just like, they always remind me of the older era of games, where you'd get a game, it's a fun game, and then you move on with your life. Like, they're not trying to put together live service bullshit. They're not trying to tell you that this is the next era of gaming or anything. They're just like, hey, you want to play a fun-ass game? Here you go. And I appreciate that. I see we still can't get away from the damn yellow paint indicating somewhere that I can jump, but, you know, such is life, I guess. I am amused by the degree of gore in this game. The giblets left and right is amusing me. Here you go, I got you that. See, is this... Is this a secret? Can I make that jump? Oh yeah! Ooh, I can. Secret. I think secret? Maybe. Is there anywhere that I can go from here? Oh. Can. Well, that's a surprise. I don't think this gets me anything, though. I assume there's no fall damage. Well, and that's the thing. I know that the yellow paint is valuable to a lot of people. And I think there have been some games that tried to get away from it, and they just kind of found that, like, nobody knew where to go. So it's like, I know that, like, why it exists, I guess that's just like, I don't know. It's just so sort of gamified and blatant that I'm like, I wish we could find a better solution. I don't know what that better solution is, but I sure wish it wasn't that. Because the ubiquity of the sort of the yellow indicator as jumpable thing, I don't know. Oh, I didn't jump properly. Oh, that's okay. I'm just back. Okay. I do, in fact, take damage when I screw the jump. Can I vault up there, maybe? I know I can make that jump. I just have to... Hoya! There we go. The crit. Yeah, like definitely like Dying Light or games where, well, and I guess that's kind of what I would prefer, I guess, would be the more elegant solution, right? Is that like, well, you don't need the yellow paint because you can climb anything. Because like Breath of the Wild, right? Or I guess more timely reference would be Tears of the Kingdom. Like they don't need to put yellow paint on anything, and that's of course because you just climb anything. They don't need to guide you. You can just go anywhere. I guess like that would be kind of better in my opinion, because then they don't have to sort of, I don't know, mar the world environment with such a like fake gamey sort of accommodation when it's just like, nah, it's fine. Just, you know, you can just climb whatever you need to do to get where you're going. I think that'd be nice. Whoa. I mean, that's fair. There's not much guidance happening in Breath of the Wild. Oh. I guess that was my frag grenade. Apparently explodes on impact. So I haven't really said much about this game. Just talked about other games, but as you might expect, the game pretty much does what it says on the tin. Like, you know, it's exactly what you would have expected it to be. Guns are satisfying shooties. Chainswords are satisfying giblet makers. Movement seems, you know, sound. Totally competent. I have largely no complaints. Aside from sometimes, oh, there we go. There's that yellow paint actually coming in useful. Yeah, Guns, Gore, and Heretic. That is exactly the subtitle of this game. That's it. That's what you get. Guns, Gore, and Heretics. Well, I found 2 secrets that time. 2. I'm not particularly motivated to find the secrets, however, because it seems like the secrets are all sort of temporary buffs rather than any kind of long-term, permanent, meaningful enhancement or improvement or anything, which, I mean, that's kind of fine. It makes me less concerned about tracking down all of the secrets. Yeah, I don't know who I left alive there. I thought I had gotten everybody. Certainly didn't intend to leave anybody behind. Okay, that's not true. I do have... The one complaint I do have is that it seems like my servo skull, who's following me around, is kind of the main I don't know, you say means of communicating the story that's taking place. And the fact that it doesn't have a voice, and I have to try to read there up at the left corner, like, while paying attention to whatever else is happening, does make it a bit tougher to follow what's going on. And that's actually one of my broad complaints with retro shooters in general, is that, I mean, like retro shooters, there's like the loosest of narrative frameworks to carry you from beat to beat, right? Like, there might be overall the premise of like, okay, here's why we're here and here's why we're shooting people. But like, you know, why specifically am I moving from this level to this level? Like, what am I going about as I move around is always kind of ill-defined. Like, they don't really worry about that in the old retro games. And so I think that's something that new first-person shooters, I mean, all newer games, but like they sort of saw the value of, you know, carrying you through the narrative as you go. I mean, the obvious example being freaking Titanfall 2, like one of the best first-person shooters, and the Halo series for that matter. You know, the iconic first-person shooters that do a much better job of carrying you through the narrative as you go. And I think that's my main complaint with retro shooters, is I think that is a really valuable part of any game. And it just kind of forgoes that a lot of times. And what's unfortunate is it seems like this game didn't need to, and it's trying to have a through line, but the communicator of that through line doesn't have a voice, which makes it very difficult to keep track of what he's trying to tell me at any particular moment. Shotgun! Noise. But, you know, as far as guns, gore, and heretics go, no complaints. Got it. It's a lot of contempt. Do I remember seeing where the keyhole was? Because I just got a key, right? I was so busy talking about the nature of retro shooters and games that I kind of lost track of whether I had seen that keyhole or anything. Presumably it would be down this way, which is why the door would be facing this. If I were a level designer, that's kind of what I would be thinking. Oh, wait, hold on. This feels promising. Yeah, we got it. Wow, that is some solid spread. And still very effective afterwards. Hey, stop shooting. Put that out. What is this? Ah, the Kraken ammo. I don't know exactly what the Kraken ammo is supposed to be, but I do really like the particle effect for it. It looks really good to shoot. I like that a lot with this ammo specifically. Not that anything is wrong with most of the particle effects. They're doing a good job. I am kind of legitimately surprised at the variety of games that have managed to be brought to the Switch. Like, I don't think when I was playing that, I don't think I would have pegged it as something that could ever really meaningfully come to the Switch. That is impressive. Ooh, there's some frame dips there. It's crazy to me. Like, I don't fully understand how, quite frankly. Well, honestly, you know, maybe what it shows more than anything is that most ports, or, you know, the presumed, like, game devs and probably mostly publishers, honestly, complaining about, like, oh, we can't bring it to this platform or this one, it's just not strong enough, is like, no, dude, that's cope. You can clearly bring it to less powerful stuff, you just don't, because it's not going to be as profitable. Like, you know, everybody's got a Switch, so they're like, yeah, okay, we'll bring it to the Switch, even if it's, you know, a little underpowered or whatever. I do wish that when they put out the OLED Switch, that instead it had been like a Switch Pro with a more meaningful hardware bump. But that was simply not to be. There is, I suppose, advantage to them keeping and sort of maintaining their ecosystem as like a single piece of hardware, so they didn't run into games that, like, oh, this one runs on Switch Pro but not the Switch, you know. Yeah, exactly. OLED is organic LEDs. OLED is a type of display technology specifically. They're lower power consumption. Hi, Dark Kiss, welcome. They're lower power consumption. They have more vibrant colors. They have better black display. Like OLED screens are just better LED screens. The balance of that, of course, is that they're usually more expensive. Which is why, so like OLED Switch coming out was like, okay, that's cool and all, but it didn't meaningfully change anything about the Switch, especially if you primarily use oh well, thank you. If you primarily use your Switch in docked mode, it doesn't really matter, because I think they might have increased the battery size or whatever, but like the meaningful hardware. Wait, were you just scanning that blood splatter? What were you doing? Well, I'm glad you could make it as well, Darkus, but I'm splitting two conversations. Sorry, impossible to track. Well, I think the bigger thing that you got with the Switch OLED, not necessarily the visual increase, which you did get. It was a bigger display, like they could fit a slightly larger display in the space. You got a little bit of the nicer view, but also it then consumed less battery. So like, you were definitely, if you use your Switch on the go, a Switch OLED was definitely a bump. Like, it was definitely a noticeable upgrade. But, like, it you know, it's still kind of, to Scobalt's your point, like, it's kind of hard to justify because it really is just, like, a little bit of a nicer display. It's like, it's hard to, because it's unlike, you know, any other console. It's not like, oh, I bought a new TV so that now my games look nicer. It's like, no, I replaced the whole damn console so now it looks a little nicer. Like, that's, I don't know, it's just like, it feels like quite a bit of money. It feels kind of wasteful, because you're just like, oh, well, done with this console forever. Like, okay, but, you know, it is what it is. I'm still a little annoyed that they didn't go the route of actually providing a dock that would hold a boosted graphics card that could connect to it, and then, you know, enhance capabilities that way. Oh no, I'm always happy to talk about my model. The trick is getting me to shut up about it. You are correct. It started its life as a Vroid. Essentially, the only things that remain Vroid are the face, you know, the face. And damn right, Scobalts. The face is still like the Vroid face, though it has also had the Hannah Tools AR kit tracking applied, so, you know, I can do more stuff with my face. And then the bones. The bones are still Vroid bones. I just, you know, slapped everything on top. I turned around, didn't I? Hold on. This place is... It all looks the same to me for some reason right now. No, I think I'm all right. I think I'm going the right way. Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah, somebody said I like the model. I need to remember that I have the button. There we go. The one button model show off. That particular bit is made possible via the fact that I'm running it in Vignon, which is an excellent application providing a lot more functionality to control all kinds of stuff. Thanks to a node graph system and blah, blah, blah. It gets a lot more complicated once you start talking about Vignon. Oh, Lord, I got myself lost because I was talking at the same time. I'm not sure if I'm going backwards or forwards right now. Hey, there's somebody that's alive. Is this a circle? This is a big circle, isn't it? I've gone in a circle. Was that somebody that was alive that I just jumped on? Or was it just a pile of goo? It's true, I do have a VOD floating around where I do some. I do not generally take commissions. So the main reason that I don't do commissions generally is because my style, my ability to make models in sort of general styles is very limited because I can't draw. So I have always sort of been working around that limitation, which is in large part how my model has ended up the way it has. I mean, one, because I liked the way it was going, but ultimately sort of the impetus for the style was essentially born out of limitations. It was like, well, I don't really know how to do this, so what can I do instead? And so the main thing that I think I could generally take commissions on, which I have not, really like brought out or advertised or talked about, is specifically, I think I'd be more comfortable doing commissions for particle systems, because I think particle systems are something that could go into almost any model could stand to have like a particle system or two to sort of like liven it up. I mean, it could be, floating stuff for a glade. It could be, magic circles for, mages or wizards or whatever. It could be larger particle systems for like a transformation sequence. You can even do some other stuff out of particle systems that people don't really think about, such as halos could be done in particle systems, so they could have like afterglow effects, like when you move your head around, things like that. Like, particle systems are extremely versatile for models, and people just don't really use them all that much. And like, I've got all kinds of particles. I did emotes as particles, yeah, for Kappa. Kappa's model is the other one that I have done, although I guess one of the other ones was Kappa's model, and then I made a secondary model for another one of my friends, Stella, who I made one for her a while back. And so I'm trying to like retrace my steps. Oh, it's this door. This is the door I needed. Generally speaking, I'm always happy to sort of help with like advice or questions or anything. One of the big things that I have wanted to do, and I just haven't sort of, I guess, either had the right opportunity or the right indication of interest, you could say, was I have wanted to sit down and do a very simple sort of like particle effect basics for models. Like, that's one of the things that I definitely do want to do in the near future, because I think that everybody could benefit from pulling in particle effects. It's like I do have a tutorial as well out there about using higher resolution textures on your Vroids. That's one of the oldest things that I sort of came across that I realized nobody had made a tutorial video on. Though ultimately it hasn't really affected me all that much because I don't even have a body texture anymore. So, like, I don't even have to have high resolution textures. 'Cause I'm just here chilling with a bunch of different little 3D models floating around as simple shapes. Yeah, I'm always sort of better at helping solve, you could say, like, particular problems, because that's just kind of the way my brain works. When it's like, oh, I'm trying to accomplish this, and a lot of times for me that's recently been like, okay, how can I accomplish this with particle effects? How can I, you know, is there an alternative to particle effects? Can I do this, that? So I would be always happy to field those sorts of questions, and honestly, if I were to get them more often, I might try to make, like, the sessions specifically to stream and talk about, like, try to do some model work myself, you know. It's like, hey, let's try to make a new particle system, let's try to do something new, so on and so forth. Because, yeah, teaching is something that I would like to be able to do more on stream. It's just, it's very, it's a challenge to sort of come up with topics to teach just, like, out of the blue. It's hard to know what people could find useful in things. Yeah. So, so the audio responsive bit, that's another one that is powered by vNyan. So the big first thing that you would need to do is to transition over to using vNyan. That, as you mentioned, Suvi made. Fortunately, as of, like, just this past week, vNyan has essentially become fully functional as a standalone application, because for a while you could potentially need to be running VSeeFace to do the webcam tracking, but, like, as of last week, Suvi added webcam tracking into vNyan itself. So at this time, you can just solely use vNyan, just, like, for all of your model running needs, which is awesome. And so it's built into that you can build out nodes based on audio responsiveness. So the easiest way to do sort of something like you're mentioning, like a specific, like, inside of the ear, or a specific texture or material, I suppose, specifically from a Unity's perspective, would be to grab Poyomi shaders. I don't know if you're familiar with the Poyomi shaders, but they are a very, very feature-rich. Originally, they were for VR chat. Hold on, I'm being overwhelmed. I gotta kill the heretics, and then we can talk more about teaching. Give me 2 damn seconds. Purging complete. Purging complete is good. Am I dying? Not totally dying. Okay. Whew. Yeah, so so the reason I bring up Poyomi shaders, one, they're very, very good, and I would suggest using Poyomi shaders in general because they bring you a lot of versatility with what you can do with your your materials, you can do a lot more interesting stuff. But the key aspect of... Yeah, I know, the heretics can't even give me the time to freaking talk about model making. What a bunch of assholes. So the Poyomi shaders specifically have audio link as an option. Audio link is a sort of plugin that's used in VR chat worlds, so that it means that a material in Unity and for our purposes within the model on this material can listen to specific information coming out of audio link plugin. And so VR chat worlds would have that, and, you know, essentially it's for, like, you can... Oh, wait, hold on. If I'm idle, I'll read a book. Neat. So with like a VR chat world, it might be like a dance hall, right? And so you'd make materials that will respond to the music you're listening to, and it'll affect those materials. And so, fortunately, Vignon, Suvi, has added the audio link. So it's really, really, really easy to set up audio link on a material and then just turn on audio link in Vignon, and for the most part, it just, like, does the thing, which is very cool. For mine, I did not actually use the audio link. I have done it in a far more complicated fashion, largely because most of what my audio responsive things are doing is actually changing size, position, rotation, which audio link can't do. Audio link doesn't do that, but if you're talking like making something glow, making colors, you know, change, I think it can affect the dissolve, like it could partially dissolve things, all kinds of stuff. That is all things that can be done with the audio link. And audio link is something that I intend to look into to bring more material changes into my audio visualizer. I just haven't gotten around to that. And so that's the most straightforward way that you could go about making responsive like that. Set up Poyomi shaders with some audio link things, get Vignon, turn on audio link. And there might be a little bit of setup in the node graph, but I'm not familiar with it yet. I haven't done it. But that's the core of it, is just those two pieces, and like, you're good to go. And so I would definitely encourage you to try it out. All your materials are Poyomi shaders, Kappa. Oh yeah, that's totally fine. I don't generally have a rule about not talking about other VTubers on my stream, because I don't really care, I guess. I guess this is where it comes down to. I personally really have no problem with you people. Like, I like VTubers. Like, I watch VTubers a lot. I like talking about some of the goings-on in the VTuber scene and stuff, so by all means. No, you're definitely correct, and I appreciate you asking. I personally don't have any issues with it. Feel free to talk about it. Yeah, I follow Hypervox on Twitter. I haven't really seen their streams at all, but I do like. They've got a really unique style, which is really cool. And I mean, obviously I'm one to appreciate some good audio responsive anything. So, you know. Yeah, I really like the models that come in and have a bit of a unique style to them. Like, I like their sort of... I don't want to use the term cartoony, because I feel like it's demeaning, but I don't mean it demeaning. Her model is just like, strikes me as sort of like a 90s Saturday morning cartoon style, and I'm kind of here for it. I think it's very cool. I like Muse Dash. I enjoy Muse Dash generally. My main thing, I think, that I have discovered about me and rhythm games generally is I really like rhythm games that involve more than simply button presses. I like rhythm games, they're fun, but I really like things like Rock Band or DDR even, Beat Saber, you know. I really dig the rhythm games that are bringing you some sort of alternate method of control for the game, because I don't know, it's probably because, you know, most of the older rhythm games I played were like DDR and then Guitar Hero and then Rock Band, so it's like, I don't know, it's sort of connected in my brain that like those are what makes, yeah. Oh, that's another thing I will say. I really did like Metal Hellsinger. I like rhythm shooters, or, you know, like games that are bringing rhythm aspects to other sorts of gameplay mechanics, I guess. Metal Hellsinger was very good. There's another one that I can't quite remember the name that's a good rhythm shooter, but like Crypt of the Necrodancer is really cool because it's like it makes it a lot more engaging to me. I wonder if I have the VODs of when I played Metal Hellsinger. Did I finish that in one stream or two? I don't remember. It might be out there. I might have that. Yeah, I can see how some people find it challenging, because there is a lot of multitasking you have to do with the rhythm shooters like that. They are a bit of a handful for sure. I think it's one of those things that I have a sort of surprising degree of I guess adeptness at something like a rhythm shooter, simply because when I was younger I did music. I have done both music and I have done video games for like my whole life. So like I'm sort of carefully and uniquely gifted in my experiences to make me good at rhythm shooters. No. I'm not god at bullet hells. There are some insane bullet hells that I definitely do not play, and like I can't do like Toho. I can't do some of those insane stuff. I am good at them. Oh, okay, good. We'll go with good. I am good at them. I am good at lots of games, but I am god at no games because I don't have the degree of focus to become extremely skilled at any of them. But I'm good enough at almost any game. That's not what I meant, but, you know, it'll work. Yeah, stand in that grenade. Are you... Jeez, that took a... Was that mine? Did I throw the grenade that I tried to throw? I'm not sure, actually. Yeah, I just recently started floating around trying to find... Oh, that's not the right button. Oh, that's fine. Some more rhythm games, because, like, I don't know, I just got my model to have a whole ass audio visualizer. Like, you know, seems appropriate to get on playing some rhythm games. So I did pick up a couple. The trick with rhythm games, of course, as a streamer is what's copyright and what can actually be played, which is a bit of a challenge. Which is, it's unfortunate because that oftentimes sort of leads me down to the sort of procedural, why are there so many of you guys? The sort of procedural generation rhythm games, which are fine. They've become better than they were, but you'll never be able to beat handcrafted rhythm levels. Like, they're just way better at making just like really good rhythm levels, because the procedural generation just misses some of that emotional connections. Feels like a weird word for it, but like there's something about connecting like motions to the music, right? I mean, I feel like VR is especially easy to think about them. Like, Beat Saber became the like rhythm game to beat on VR because I think it was really the first one that did handcrafted levels. There had been a couple that came out before that that did procedural generations of the levels, and they were fun enough. They got you moving. It was cool. But like Beat Saber, and especially the mods, of course, like, you know you've got something special because of the handcrafted nature of the levels when you pull up like Gangnam Style and they have successfully mapped to some degree the actual Gangnam Style dance to the rhythm game, which could never be done via procedural generation. And so that's why, I don't know, the procedural generation based you know, play your own music style rhythm games always leave me wanting something a little bit better. I'm trapped in a maze of my own emotions right now. Yeah, yeah, exactly that. The human touch that sort of like, that you play it and you're like, I get it. I know what they were doing with this rhythm. Like, you're just like, you just feel it in your bones. Is this the exit? It is. I have seen, well, really, I've never seen anybody really play DJ Max Respect. I know that it exists, but I really don't know much about it. Maybe I'll have to look into it. Oh, that's not what I meant to do? Oh, you know what? I forgot I got a plasma gun. I should try shooting it at something. Okay. Well then. How much ammo do I have? Not very much. Interesting. That's a lot of keys. The way forward? How do I get out of here? Oh, I see. This is the plasma gun ammo. Okay. Alright, I'm quickly realizing the challenges of playing this game, particularly on stream. And I think I sort of get the sense from the other games that I've played that this is true of almost all retro shooters, because part of what makes a retro shooter is that it's easy to get lost in. It's not as well curated as far as sort of the directions you take and where you're going. And it's making it real friggin' hard to talk and play at the same time. I just have to sort of luck out my way into walking the correct direction eventually. The shooting is good though. Honestly, I would definitely recommend this game not on stream. Like, if you can actually like pay attention to the game, I would freaking play it. I am, however, stuck in a mid-ground of trying to do it and talk at the same time, which is really making this difficult. Okay, that does have splash. Nice. Splash is good. Hold on. I kind of assumed that maybe this... Where are you trying to get me to go? He said to descend. I know that there's a spot that I could have jumped down over there, but I kind of got distracted hoping I would find secrets. But now I'm sort of thinking that maybe the jump down was the secret. Or maybe it's not that secret at all and it's just a room in this room. It's just a room in this room. I assumed more import to that location than was warranted. Off we go. So it seems that one of the secrets I found, I think might have been a permanent improvement to the bolter, because it seems to be blessed by the Omnissiah, and I had expected that to have gone away by the end of that level, and it seems that it hasn't. So maybe I gotta try harder to find these so that I can bless all my weapons by the Omnissiah. It's a little hard to see my health because it is so small and so far off in that corner. I'm just gonna at some point end up dead, and it's gonna be entirely a surprise to me. You know, something else that I would have potentially liked to see improved in this game. That is a big-ass frog. The music is fine, but I would have liked the music to have been better. Because Warhammer 40k, especially when talking the Space Marines and the Imperium in general, has some of the best opportunity for some just, like, ripping music and such a cool genre that it feels like it's a bit of a shame that it has been underutilized, at least thus far. And I think part of that is the effort to keep it sort of retro feeling. I think if you're making a retro game, retro shooter or anything, the one place you can get away with not making it retro is the freaking music, man. Just let her rip. Oh. Oh. I'm getting closer to that surprise death thing. I feel it. Jesus, they're freaking everywhere. I think I might be also killing myself slowly by shooting too close to me. All right, can I salvage this? Oh boy, my health is low. Low health, low health. Help! Oh, that's a big help. Thank you very much. What am I supposed to be doing here? I think I'm just surviving right now. But I'm not 100% sure. Well, at least they can drop health when you kill them. Ah, I see. Stepping on the acid is bad. There we go. Site purged. Kill the giant frogs. That's the name of the game. I'm very low on health. Well, not very low. Lower than I'd like to be. Hey, you asshole. My hard-earned health and contempt. I assume this is the exit? I could be wrong. Just harvest all the health that I can find. You know, on the subject of crazy guns that make people explode, what a segue. So I've been recently watching a really cool series that I'd seen a couple times in the past, but hadn't really, like, spent all that much time watching. But a series on YouTube from GameSpot, which is essentially like, I don't remember what they call it, but it's like, you know, real professionals react or whatever. And specifically, they got this one guy from the Royal Armories, like weapons museum in England, who, one, he's a cool guy. He's very, he's pleasant to watch. He's a pleasant, nice guy that just, he's an affable sort. But he's got a lot of firearms knowledge. He's like the keeper of firearms and artillery. And he reacts to video games, and he sort of talks about the weapons depicted there, and like you know, how close they are to similar real-world equivalents, especially for, you know, milsim style shooter games where they're actually trying to meaningfully depict real-ass weaponry. But of course, he'll talk about all of the other wild stuff. But most interestingly, so the thing about the bolter, or I guess Boltgun is the game is titled. The whole thing about the bolter is that it fires rocket-propelled, essentially mini rockets. Like they are mini explosives, rocket-propelled. They go boom, you know, the whole 9 yards. And shockingly, there's a real-ass gun that tried to do rocket-propelled projectile. It sucked, apparently. But it was called the Gyrojet. And so they really did try to make something that shoots tiny rockets. So apparently the issue with it was that they were not able to put an explosive charge on it, which kind of makes sense because it had to have space for fuel, and you have to be in some kind of sci-fi environment to miniaturize the rocket with both fuel and explosives. And so instead of being, you know, something that goes across the battlefield and explodes, which is what a bolter in Warhammer 40k does, it really just made a slow-ass bullet. It was just a stupid slow bullet instead of being like a meaningful rocket weapon. But they actually tried to do it. They actually made it a pistol too, which is kind of crazy. But it would pop out. It would fire off some rockets, and it would propel itself not very fast at the enemy. I thought that was really interesting because I never heard of it. But shocking that it was something that existed. Oh, hey, the exit. I'm a little surprised I lived because that got a little dicey a couple times. Only, oh, wait, oh, five secrets. Sadly, I don't have a Discord command, and I should probably set that up. I do sort of have a Discord. Maybe next time you pop by, I will have set up a Discord command. I do. I have a shared Discord with one of my friend who also is a VTuber, Stella. We sort of share a Discord because I essentially couldn't be bothered to make my own because it's too much effort and I don't care enough. So I piggybacked on hers. And honestly, right now, I'm not totally sure how to link the invite to it. Anyway, thanks for coming by. It was a pleasure to talk to you. I always like to get the opportunity to talk model stuff, and I'm glad I could help sort of excite you and you know, stoke your creative fires, as it were. So good luck. I hope you can stop by again sometime. Hey, it was a machine spirit. Oh, maybe... Okay. maybe that Omnissiah blessing isn't permanent. It's just I keep finding it, and I always have the bolter out when I pick it up, so it always applies to the damn bolter. Maybe I should, you know, be more mindful of the weapon I'm holding when I pick it up. You know, another thing I will say about this game is I think it's really cool that they are bringing in Tzeentch enemies. I feel like Tzeentch is one that is not nearly so often represented in video games, and so I am pleased to see the Tzeentch faction of chaos cropping up and making themselves known. Although it does make a little bit of sense to bring them into a game like this, because I think the Tzeentch faction most commonly has like projectile based units. They got the flamers who, you know, shoot flames. The pink and blue horrors all throw like the arcane fires of Tzeentch. Like, everybody freaking tosses around disgusting fire for Tzeentch, so it makes sense to bring them into a FPS. This is where you have, like, Korn, by comparison, rarely has projectiles, because they're all just raging berserker guys that want to bludgeon your skull in. Or tear you limb from limb, whatever the case may be. What the? What's that noise? Hello? Is that the stupid skull? Servo skull? Making that noise whenever it appears? Alright, we're all maxed out on contempt. Button. Progress block. Pursue vertical. Medicaid. Yup. You know, on the other side of things, where this is not a disappointing game, I will say that Darktide, Warhammer 40k Darktide ended up being a pretty disappointing game, which is a huge bummer, because I had been really looking forward to that. That was the game that was made by the same people who made Vermintide and Vermintide 2. And Vermintide 2 is just such a freaking great game. And then they tried to make the 40k version, and they did Darktide, and just, I don't know. It wasn't like, it wasn't terrible. They just, I don't know. Like they just kind of failed to capture what made Vermintide 2 great, and it's really a bummer. It was just like this sort of compounding of a combination of, combination and compounding is kind of redundant, but just like this variety of factors that each one made the game just like a little bit worse and a little bit less fun. And then each got kind of stacked on each other, eventually making it into ultimately a disappointment, which is a real bummer. Let's see, can I jump across that? I know exactly. That's That's definitely my same thought, Skullballs. Vermintide is so good, and Darktide, they just, I don't know, they just lost sort of the specialness of Vermintide. Is this where I came up? I think it is. Means I must be going this way. I'm going this way. Yes, yes, yes. Oh. Analyzing storm particulates, cogitating, chaotic energy residue identified, prolonged contact may be considered heresy. What? Yeah, I needed more rats. I don't know. Like, it very well could be that just, you know, the sort of making it more first, like, ranged weapon focused just sort of ended up to its detriment. Because I think just like the hordes of things that would reliably run at you in Vermintide was like part of what made it interesting and unique, was just like hordes of dudes that you were dealing with. Then I think they reduced the interesting sort of the uniqueness of the characters. The classes were less customizable, so like you had fewer options on the abilities front and things, which I think probably didn't help things. Are you stuck in the wall? I don't know. And they did a thing, Darktide enemies were mutants, heretics, Nurgle? Nurgle. Nurgle demons, heretics, you know, same old, same old. But another thing that they had done that I think was ultimately a mistake on the front of characters, and I think too many modern games do this, where they want to... Overall, I think less games need to give you the option to make your own character. I know lots of people really value, you know, making their character and, you know, making it themselves or whatever. They're like, yeah, it's like I'm in the game. But the thing is it's always been the failing of MMOs, right? Because MMOs have to structure a story and interactions to facilitate and accommodate anybody walking in, which really, really waters down the story and the interactions. And that's what happened in Darktide, because if you recall, Vermintide, of course, had specific characters. Interesting characters. Characters that you play for hours, and they interact with each other, and they have, like, in-jokes, and they, like, have callbacks to other, like, things they've said in other levels, and the interactions were interesting and compelling. The problem is that in Darktide, you could make your own character. And so all of that just disappeared. There were interactions between them, but of course it had to be structured in such a way that the calls and responses were a little looser, right? They accommodated maybe more than one response, and maybe they say this, maybe they say that. It'll all work out in the end, right? And so it made sort of the in-game banter much less compelling. And while that is a somewhat minor aspect of the game, like, I remember and I like the characters from Vermintide. But with the characters being created in Darktide, I no longer gave a shit about them. And that does reduce the, level of enjoyment. So I think that was a mistake. Honestly, one of my bigger pet peeves with the game, despite, all of the other things that probably went into me not really, feeling motivated to play the game, so I just kind of didn't that much. That was the one that I think irked me the most. And it's a shame. I'd look forward to that game. I mean, it's not totally written off. Maybe they can do something about it. Maybe they can fix it up. They can make it more compelling, but as it stands, well, and honestly, if some pack of VTubers were like, "Hey, let's play Darktide," I'd be like, "Yeah, I'd play that." But not like I get invited to anything in the wider VTuber space. It's I too small. I small to do all this shit myself. Such is life. Making friends is hard. Ooh, what's this? Heavy bolter. So heavy it's not even on the damn camera. All it is the top of my hand. Oh, there it is. So it's actually really funny to me to see all of these Tzeentch enemies, because Tzeentch was one of the new factions in Total War Warhammer 3. Also a great game. Love Total War Warhammer series. And it's funny because that is Warhammer, not Warhammer 40k. So that's Warhammer Fantasy. But it's funny because all of these Tzeentch demons are literally the same. They are unchanged. I used all my ammo. Who knows? Could happen. I like to think that it's always one of those things in the back of your mind, right? It's like, maybe this time that I post something, some, bigger VTuber will see it and, care. Every time you post something, it's like, well, wouldn't that be neat? Maybe. It's not like I expect it to happen, or even that I need it to happen. But sure would be neat, Hasn't happened yet, but I do like that anytime it just so happens that, another VTuber who did make their own model as well sees anything about my model, they are the ones who sort of immediately appreciate the shenanigans, right? That's sort of what happens. Somebody who has or has tried to make their own model, they end up seeing what I've done and they're like, well, hot damn. And that's always a nice feeling. Well, it's true. The thing about, I guess, why I sort of mention with it being bigger is because being bigger in some ways, it sort of implies that it's more like it's already like a connected group in a sense, because I guess you could say that VTubers are in a sense sort of cliquish, but I don't use the term cliquish in the sort of very negative connotation that many people do. Cliques are simply a thing that happen when friend groups are created, right? Like that's just a thing that happens, and that's fine. The thing about it though is that like there are some groups of small VTubers for sure. The thing is like I feel like when you get sort of a group of smaller VTubers or even streamers together that have like good chemistry, that like enjoy what they're doing, like are regularly around and available, I feel like they don't stay that small nearly as long, because that's just an excellent way for growth, right? I would be more than happy to end up on sort of the ground floor of that sort of a like collection of people, right? The challenge with many of the sort of interactions with other VTubers or streamers is much of the ones that I have required me to sort of take the initiative and be the one sort of reaching out, planning collabs, building the sort of attempting to build the friendship. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just somewhat tiresome, right? Because shock of shocks, most VTubers are like socially anxious youngsters, I guess you could say. And so it's like it almost more than it being a matter of like being recognized by a big VTuber or whatever. Honestly, I just want somebody to be like, it's like, hey, you seem cool. I think we'd get along. Do you want to try to play some games or whatever? Like, honestly, just somebody to be one of the ones that's a little bit more of an extrovert. That'd be super. You know, I have always sort of called myself a loud introvert, because honestly, the more time I spend in, say, like the VTuber community of like a true mess of, I guess, introverts and or socially anxious folks, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm a little bit more of an ambivert than I gave myself credit for. Like, either I'm a loud introvert, an ambivert, or maybe I'm just like a misanthropic extrovert. I don't know, because I am not as introverted as many of the people around me, apparently. And Kappa, you don't count. We already play games. And also Kappa, your problem is you don't play first-person shooters. You... Hey, there's nothing wrong with being an introvert or a loner behind a keyboard or any of that stuff. It's just in this specific circumstance, I sure would like the occasional frickin' like the trope, right? Like the adopted by an extrovert trope. That sure would be nice. But I'm out here freaking sleuthing through streams to try to find people I vibe with and be like, hey, you seem cool, would you like to play a game? And then struggling through trying to organize that. And then I find people that I like, and they disappear forever. I'm sad at my, like, friend casualties that have occurred. At no fault of anyone's. They just, you know, wandered off to do other things, and that makes me frowny. Ooh, I almost fell. Purging begins. Yeah, I recognize that motion sickness is a problem. It just sure doesn't help me. Okay, yep, that was a problem. I just blew myself up. Hold on, I see that you're asking a question. Just let me purge some heretics, and then I will look and respond. I recognize your presence and existence. However, purging is taking place at the moment. I will get back to you. Please leave a message after the beep. Beep. Sort of dying, and I would rather not do that. Health low. Hey, look, health. Neat. Did that guy just jump off the ledge? What a dummy. All right, hold on. Let me see here. Meant to ask, use my phone camera, not on the face, but on the hands. If you wanted to do something with hands, it would have to be like normal-ass hand cam. Because an iPhone camera is simply not built to capture arm movement and then translate that to model hands, if that's what you're asking. You would need either a leap motion specifically, or you will be doing a cam for hands. I'm dying again. Hey, look, some more health. Out of my way. All right, and then what does Skullbolt say? Hope to find friends. Yeah. For sure. I appreciate the fact that you are still here, Skullbolt, quite frankly. Truly the OG. Also one of the few that sort of truly made the transition to YouTube. Though, to be fair, I mean, towards the end of my streaming on Twitch, it's not like most, many of the followers were making it to most streams, so, you know. Which, of course, I don't hold against them. They are not obligated to come hang out with me and stream. It is merely unfortunate. Alright. Now back to what you're saying. Get nails done. You could do the channel colors. what were you thinking of doing a hand cam stream for? Were you gonna make something? I am still thinking, probably, well, I guess it depends when new stuff. Oh, single-player tabletop games. That's actually a pretty good idea. That would be interesting. Yeah, that would be interesting. Sometime probably next year, maybe later. God, I hope it's next year. I do think I'm going to, next time I build a new computer, I think I'm going to try to stream building the computer. Because, you know, the next upgrade path for my computer is essentially going to require me to rebuild the whole damn thing, so I will still have a PC capable of streaming while I'm building the new one. So I think I might try to do that whenever I get around to building the new computer. A single-player journaling tabletop game. What is a journaling tabletop game? How does that work? Interesting. Well, I will be curious to see how that goes. I mean, that's fair. Oh, so on the subject of tabletop games, so I'd recently started playing Monster Hunter World board game with some of my friends here, as one of them picked it up, kickstarted it, all that whole thing. And oh boy, the Monster Hunter World board game. Overall, it's fun, but boy, did they really screw up printing a lot of stuff. There are so many errors in it. It's very annoying. Well, I am glad that YouTube is easier for you. That's great. Oh yeah, for sure. That's actually a really good reference, Scoballs. Look up Onigiri on Twitch, Kappa. Onigiri does VTuber IRL hybrid cooking streams. Yeah, I mean, the top-down view will work, but it is very interesting to see what Giri does. She's also just an entertaining VTuber that she's just good to watch. Like, you could also check her videos on YouTube. There's a lot of edited down, like 10 to 20 minute, not even clips, like cooking stream compilation dealies that she puts out herself, that you can find on YouTube. So you could also look her up there. This gun is satisfying and I like it. But, so, as I was saying about the Monster Hunter World board game, so there's one thing that was really, like, really made kind of all of us upset. So one of my friends that I'm playing with is partially colorblind. So he has helped me be far more sort of cognizant of that particular avenue of accessibility stuff, like colors, as an issue. And what I had not realized is that Capcom and Monster Hunter World essentially required them to use all of the sort of iconography from the game, and they weren't allowed to adjust it, which turned out real crappy because the insect glaive has cards relating to the different insects, and the problem is that 2 of them are extremely similar in color because it's like orange and red. But the problem is that they also are not differentiated in shape, which is really, really stupid considering bugs come in all kinds of shapes, and they just decided to use the same damn icon for both of them with slightly different colors. And it was very upsetting to see them just like carry it over into the board game. And like they'd been getting a lot of sort of pushback comments, whatever, online. The game company did, and they were like, sorry, like, we are contractually obligated to Capcom that they require us to use the same icons. And it's like, Capcom, you assholes. Because you've essentially got cards to play with that's like, oh, you know, when you draw, or if you used this insect, and it's just the symbol with orange, and then it's like, do this. But then you have another card that's like, if you used this one, which is like the red one, do this other thing. And it's like, so there were 3 of us playing, me and the other one that were not colorblind. When our friend first showed the cards to be like, are these the same color? We looked at them and we're like, yeah, those are the same color, because sometimes he asks us to look at stuff and say if they're the same color, because they might look the same to him. And then he like kept working through the way his character was supposed to work, and he's like, are you sure? Can you look again? And we're like, okay, let's give it a serious inspection. And we're like, oh my god, I guess they're technically different? It was like, I have never seen 2 colors closer that were supposed to be distinct colors in any piece of media, I think, ever. You know, be it board game, video game. I could not believe how close these 2 colors were when they expected them to be different. I would, like, we were so mad about it, because I'm just like, how can you, this is just such a middle finger to accessibility. It's like, come on. You have got to do better than that, which is really annoying, because generally I count Capcom to be one of the better game companies right now. And even they can just really royally screw it up. Yeah, it's like, it was ridiculous. Hold on. Okay, now that I talked about it, I'm kind of curious. I'm gonna see if I can find a picture of it. Board game, insect glaive, insects. Let me see if I can find it, because I really... Monster Hunter World board game. It's actually, it's not that complicated, Kappa. Geary, she just has a blue, you know, jumpsuit. Whatever the you know, skin suit. She just got a blue skin suit, and then chroma keys it out, and just has differently colored gloves. It's that simple. Yeah, morph suit. Thank you, Scobalts. That's the one. Her face might not be covered. She might crop the she probably just crops the thing in OBS, because you can just, you know, you have it in camera, or you lower the camera frame, you know. And then you just have to be, you know, be careful to keep your head above the line, so to speak. Glaive insects. I don't... It's one of those things I'm not even sure how to freaking find this. Oh, that's right. They call them kinsects. Kinsects. Kinsect. Hunter world. Kinsect. Icon? Come on. I claimed it was the same as in the video game. The video game. I don't care anymore. Too much effort. Just believe me. They're real damn similar, all right? I really would just like to always use this heavy freaking Boltgun. Can I just have infinite ammo for this thing? I love it. This freaking plasma gun, man, it is so dangerous. The explosion on it is far bigger than I expect. And now I'm just like, stay away from me. These are some sturdy buggers. Jesus. There we go. Oh, hey. There we go. What's next? Am I not hanging out here to survive? Am I just passing through? I didn't really have any issues with the masks on my side. I don't have asthma, however, so you know that might help out quite a bit on that front. I also, however, just tended to not go outside because, you know, I'm a homebody and I work from home, so here I am. controls doorway below. What are you talking about, man? That's another thing that never's really bothered me. I know a lot of people are bothered by the whole, like, breathing hot air or whatever, and I'm just like, eh. Although, I guess I also became accustomed to wearing a... Oh, I need a key. I became accustomed to wearing a motorcycle helmet a lot, so, you know, I guess that's a little bit similar. So, yeah. Well, because, like, I would ride in winter, which would require, like, a balaclava, and then the helmet over the balaclava. Riding motorcycles is a little bit of a challenge, I think, if you are claustrophobic. I mean, unless you want to just not wear gear and risk dying, you know. Which, not my cup of tea. So, yeah, I mean, that feels related to me. Oh, in other news, I have been watching my artist work on my snazzy illustration. Very excited about that. It's coming along quite nicely. It's been kind of funny, especially today, because I was lurking in stream. I didn't even really mention that I was there. And so people would come by and be like, oh, hey, what are you drawing? And so she'd, you know, mention me and whatever, but nobody really knew that I was in chat, which was kind of funny. But what was notable was the number of people who responded by commenting about how complicated it was and how, like, it was like, you know, dizzying or whatever. And I couldn't help but notice that was the reaction to the simplified illustration, not the actual model reference. And I was like, perhaps my taste in visual complexity is in fact quite different than the general enjoyer of art, perhaps, we'll say. Scobalt's the artist is Merowyn is the artist. Let me pull up her Twitch channel. Let's see, twitch.tv/Merowyn. Is that correct? That's correct. Yeah, bro, read that book. Oh, Lord, that is not what I intended to copy. Get out of there. Holy crap. That would have been recursive nonsense. I almost posted the link to chat in chat. That would have been confusing for everyone involved. Enter. Boop. There. That's Merowyn. It was also a little funny. I don't think she would have. Obviously, she said it in stream, so she didn't have any issue with it being mentioned. But it was funny because she also commented in stream to somebody without knowing I was there. So it was a little bit funny how she mentioned that she thought it was the most expensive, or like the most she'd ever charged for an illustration because of how complex it was. And I was like, yeah, you know, that's fair. To be fair, though, Merowyn undercharges her art. It's a great deal. So of course, I had no issues whatsoever paying the amount that she asked. I was like, deal. But it was good because I had just recently had some artists, or at least an artist, back out of... I was pursuing a commission with another artist, and they had essentially accepted, but they had to back out because they just didn't think they could do it, which is fair. I thought they handled it extremely professionally, honestly, that they were just like, they tried a bunch of sketches to get it working, and they were like, you know, they didn't think they could do it justice. They couldn't get a piece of the sketch they were happy with, so they just had to cancel the commission, which I respect entirely. It is still disappointing, however. Apparently I can't jump up there. But Mara was up for a challenge, and so she took it on. I think one of the things that has really helped with Merowyn is that she actually has a background in animation, which I think is really useful for my model in particular, simply because there's so much motion to it, and having experience with animation likely helps you sort of, I don't know, like cut through it visually, as well as kind of get the core lines out of the form. So like I think that really helped her be able to tackle it. And it is a little simplified, but extremely obviously me. So I was fully ready to accept the fact that it's going to have to get simplified, because my model doesn't really work in 2 dimensions. It's very specifically designed to function not only as a 3D object, but also in motion. Like I think while my model is extremely complex, it actually becomes less complicated in motion. I think, at least the goal that I had was that it would essentially become less complicated in motion, because your brain starts sort of making assumptions, in a sense. Like, you know, it's just a collection of shapes, but when they move like fingers, you start to see fingers instead of shapes. And so I think that actually kind of works better in motion than it does still. Yeah, and like the movement back and forth sort of helps you perceive the depth in it, where if it's just like a screenshot of the model, then it's like, I don't understand what's in front, I don't understand what's behind, I don't understand how things connect. But when the motion is happening, it helps to sort of blend together into a humanoid shape. That was, in general, what I set out to accomplish, and I think I did so relatively well. There's no denying that I certainly go overboard with visual complexity, however. But there's simply no getting away from it, because I like the visual complexity. And so that's just a burden I must bear, that some people will really just not like looking at me. And it's something I accept. Where the hell am I going right now? I'm just like in the rooftops. Hello? Secrets. I feel like I came from over there, right? Surely I did. What? Okay, well, I'm down here now. Oh, do I have... Well. Right to the correct location. Or this is just a shortcut back up in case you fell. Could be that too. Either way, I'll take it. Where am I going? What am I doing? Is this where I just was? Maybe? Oh. There we go. We got something going. You know, they're making like scary music, but I don't see any scary people. Hello. Heretics? Demons? Please deliver yourselves unto my Boltgun. I got you this grenade. Oh, speaking many minutes ago on Vignon, Kappa, did you see that there's a fresh new update to Vignon? This one might be relatively interesting. At the very least, it looks like it now has a curve-based interface to interact with changing how the blend shapes function. So rather than the clumsier interface previously of just like setting in numbers, you know, at values, add numbers, you can now do curve-based manipulations of the way the blend shapes work, which I think will really help hopefully make it easier to make some, like, smooth modifications to the way the blend shapes function. Getting the blend shapes right, however, is quite the challenge. That's something that I will have to sit down for, like, an afternoon to try to consider and tackle from my end. Because with the AR kit one specifically, where you have the 52 different blend shapes, like, trying to sort of bring a particular form of expression to the face that you're aiming to do, right? Like, oh, I want the face to generally be a bit more, like, smirky, or, like, you know, have a particular nature to it, requires you to very sort of carefully manipulate a great many blend shapes to get it, like, all working together. So what I do is I pull the new zip file into the current folder, the zip folder, bring it into the current folder of vnyan, just like the vnyan and everything underneath it, right into there, and then extract here, and then replace all. So, like, you just extract all of the stuff out of the new folder and overlay it directly over top of what's there now, and I have not had an issue yet doing it that way. I just realized I don't know where my dog is. I wonder what he's up to. I wonder, it's kind of abrupt, but I'm wondering if I should go ahead and call it for now. I just finished a level. It's a little bit shorter, but I'm the only one here now, and so I am a little bit on dog duty. And I don't know where he is, and I want to make sure he's not pulling stitches out like an idiot. He hasn't been that interested thus far, and he has mostly healed up. He's getting the stitches out Tuesday anyway, but I don't want to give him the opportunity to frickin' yank any stitches out. It's awfully quiet here, and I don't know where he's slinked off to. So I think I'll go ahead and call here. Honestly though, I might bring this game back. Honestly, I might bring this back next Friday. I am enjoying it. I pretty much have exactly the complaint that I had mentioned earlier. That I wish it did a better job of sort of guiding you through narratively. But I think that's just common of the retro shooter genre, if you want to call it a genre at this point. It's certainly a trend where there's lots of them, so, you know, it's kind of a genre. And I wish they built better narratives to go along with it, but it's a little outside of the retro shooter style, so I'll give it a pass because it's just not really what it's trying to accomplish. I just wish that it did. But yeah, thanks all for hanging out. It was a lively one today. We had all kinds of conversation. I appreciate your being here and chatting it up. Tomorrow, I have on the schedule is Fuga, but there is a possibility that I will actually play games with Stella. Stella had already let me know that she wouldn't be able to make it for tonight, but we might be able to reschedule tomorrow. So we might have a little surprise Friday, Saturday, Stella, whatever. I might play with Stella tomorrow, which would be great if we could. Other than that, other news, I'm gonna put a post up about it, but for, at the very least, the summer, the upcoming summer, I am going to be shifting my schedule a little bit so that rather than having a Tuesday stream, I will be having a Wednesday stream. So it'll be Wednesday, Friday, Saturday for the stream days, at least for the summer. Who knows what happens later on, but that'll be the regular schedule for a little while, at least, starting next week. I'll put a YouTube post for whatever value that is. I'll probably update my my pinned Twitter post for whatever uselessness that is. I'll try. Freaking hate Twitter. But look forward to that. Just keep in mind, Wednesdays will be the midweek stream for a while. Thanks for coming, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.
Initiating goodnight sequence. Dispersing appropriate dosage of compound 347. Initiating phase 1 of memory calibration. This won't hurt a bit. Just close your eyes.